Good morning, Kong. Meron po mga news report na nagsasabing yung maturing COVID loans ng bansa ang lalo nagpapataas ng utang ng Pilipinas. Tapos dahil hindi daw transparent ang paggastos kasi may mga non-disclosure agreement sa vaccine procurement na hindi na-declassify. Additionally po, may sinabi si Secretary Gadon na ang inutang ng Duterte administration sa 6 na taon ay mas mataas pa sa utang ng bansa mula kay President Quezon hanggang kay Pinoy. 89 years po. Ano po ang masasabi niyo?
The issue on loans is not new. If you will observe, nung mga nakaraang oversight budget hearings under the Committee on Appropriations, natakal ito. Minsan kasi yung iba hindi nila naiintindihan. They think it's a simple matter. But government loans is a very serious matter. Why? Sinangla mo kasi yung future ng iyong mga anak at mga apo. And sometimes it's even more than that. So why is it important to talk about this? Kasi hindi pwedeng may blanket authority lang eh. Just like what we saw in the pandemic. Nung pandemic kasi, parang naging excuse na umutang kaliwat kanan. Example, when we were dealing with vaccines, ilang bilyon ang inutang para sa bakuna, but when the vaccines were there, napakahirap nung distribution and accessibility. Kasi meron ka pang mga powerful people na dapat tawagan para magkaroon ka ng share ng bakuna dun sa grassroots level. So, accessibility was a problem. Politicizing vaccine distribution was another problem. And then the prioritization, nung ando dun ang mukha ng infeksyon, may bakuna naman, pahirapan. Para bang, I hope I'm wrong, but apparently, there was the intention of creating an artificial shortage. Alam mo yun, kunyari walang stock, pero ando dun naman yung kanilang mga buffer stocks. Para kapag kunyari walang stock, syempre may demand yung tao, bibili ka ng sangkatutak. But the major problem there is we lost that opportunity of vaccinating the vulnerables. Na kung saan, by the time na yung DOH naglalabas ng guidelines, wala na eh. Marami ng matayin, marami ng mga nahawa. Kasi nakita naman natin na yung protection ng COVID vaccine is not really that long term. So nakita naman natin na ang daming inutang para sa bakuna again. That's a no-no. So loans should be dealt sacredly. Kasi minsan madaling umutang pagkatapos bahala na si Batman dun sa bayaran. Eh ang problema, kunyari ngayon, meron tayong monkeypox na naging mpox and apparently the virus is mutating fast. It will not entail a situation like COVID. However, when the WHO declares a public health emergency of international concern, it simply means prepare your war chest. Prepare your budget para meron kang panglaban kapag ito ay lumaki pang lalo. So, ito ang problema natin ngayon. And then we also have problems on climate change. Ang dami nating problemang kinakaharap, pero ang pinakamalaki nating harang sa ating paggalaw at pag-unlad ay yung sangkatutak na utang na hindi naman natin alam kung tayo ay nagbenepisyo, pero pilit at wala tayong magawa, hindi binabayaran ng ating bayan, ng ating mga kababayan.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, in addition to that, let's go back to let's contextualize. I think the question was the loan that was was entered into during the pandemic. We were at that point in time under the emergency, state of emergency. I guess we need also, gusto ko lang i-re-echo yung sinabi ni Ma'am Janet kanina. I think we also need to revisit how can we actually enter into a loan whenever there's a declaration of state of emergency. Tama. I think the loan should be the last resort. I think we need to make use of the fiscal, the capacity of the budgeting process by which we have already access for funds in terms of calamity that may happen or may strike in the future. Tama yung sabi po ni if wala namang problema sa pag-uutang, but as long as we also have a system where the country can make good of debt payments, Yun ang problema eh. Kasi if you excessively grant this power, I think sabi ko nga, kailangan tingnan muna no? With the context of pandemic, no? And the COVID. Kasi first time yun kung nag-excessive yung power to enter into a loan, excessively, I guess that is something that we need to revisit because the impact of that is nagkaroon ng sobrang daming yung loans, yung interest, etc. Which I guess that would really put the country in a bad situation where our credit standing in the international community may also be affected. So it's a system. It happened during the pandemic, and there's a lesson to be learned. And I guess on my part, I guess we need to revisit that kung policy or law that grants a branch of the government to excessively enter into a loan just because we are under a state of calamity. Walang problema sa pag-uutang. Basta yung pag-uutang ay may capable ang isang bansa tulad ng Pilipinas to make good of debt payments. Unfortunately, sa ngayon, mukhang we are having trouble. I think this administration is having problems and challenges to make good of that debt payments. And ang direction sa ngayon ng this administration is to really pay what is necessary na kailangan natin i-pay as part of the loan and to make good of our credit standing international community. This is a lesson that we need to really, this is a lesson that we learned in a hard way, and we need to really institute a system where in the coming years that's emergency that may happen worldwide, tulad ng pandemic, we would have to resort to loans in utang na po pwedeng magbayad. Sabi naman ni Ma'am Janet, ay isanla mo yung future ng ating bayan at mga kabataan natin. Sila pa ang magbabayad sa utang na na-incur.
One more question, ma'am.
Idagdag ko lang very quickly just to laymanize, yung aligasyon na umutang ng 7.2 trillion yung nakaraang administrasyon, hindi kasi yan pareho ng umuutang ka lang sa kapitbahay or umuutang ka sa bangko at pwede ka nang tumakbo. Dito kasi, pag umutang ka at ang garantor ay ang Pilipinas, meron tayong automatic debt servicing na tinatawag. Ibig sabihin, gustuhin mo man o hindi, babayaran mo yung utang na yan, kinakaltas yan sa budget ng Pilipinas. So kung malaki ang utang, hindi na halos makagalaw ang gobyerno. Ang katanungan, bakit ito dapat matingnan? Para magkaroon ng mga batas na kung saan lang at ano ang parameters kapag ikaw ay uutang. Not like in the situation of the pandemic na ang mahal-mahal ng testing na binabayaran ng bawat tao, ang laki-laki na nagastos ng PhilHealth dun sa testing. Sinisingil pa yung tao aside sa bayad ng PhilHealth. Pero nakikita natin, bilyon-bilyon ang inutang para sa testing. Dapat libre yun. Yung mata na yun, para makita natin yung kalaban natin sa gyera ng COVID, should have been for free because umutang tayo ng iilang bilyon para makaprovide ng testing sa mga Pilipino.
Ma'am,
Idadagdag ko lang po, yung itong mga utang yung sabi po ni Ma'am Jani, itong mga utang automatic dapat bayaran. It's not a question whether we can or we cannot, we must. 'Di ba? Sa arrangement na 'yon. Kaya naapektuhan minsan, pag sumobrang utang, naapektuhan po yung social services natin because it actually affects the fiscal space na gagamitin ng gobyerno. Tulad ng budget hearing ngayon, bakit masyadong tight ang mga budgeting ng mga line item, tas naapektuhan ng services? Kasi nga, portion of the money that we collected, the revenue that we collected, goes directly to the utang, into the interest. May interest pa yan sa mga loan Kaya lumiliit yung fiscal space every time na nagsasubmit ang DBM ng kanilang budget. So, kung hindi man natin maramdaman kasi parang ang nagbabayaran ng gobyerno at saka ang ibang monetary mga loan institution, international loaning institution, naapektuhan sa ordinaryo na tao. Naapektuhan dahil lumiliit yung serbisyo at programa na nalalaan na dapat ay mas malaki ang budget. Dahil because we need to pay that utang.
doon po sa leptospirosis na marami na pong nasa ospital at namamatay, budget hearing po ngayon, magkakaroon po ba ng pondo ang Kongreso dito?
Sa totoo lang, matagal nang may pondo ang doxycycline. Taon-taon andyan na yan. At kung nauubos, merong quick response fund ang Department of Health. Hindi naman kasi ganun kamahal. I believe what went wrong here is the failure to communicate actively, yung proactive communication and proper prepositioning ng ating prophylactic drug, which is doxycycline. Bakit? Kapag paparating yung mga bagyo or malakas na ulan na may baha, paulit-ulit dapat natin sinasabi, nakakamatay ang leptospirosis. Subalit, pwede itong maagapan sa pag-inom ng tabletas. Kung ikaw ay walang sugat, ngunit na-expose ka sa baha, 2 tabletas within 24 to 72 hours. Kung ikaw naman ay lumangoy or may sugat or hindi mo alam kung baka may sugat ka, inumin ito 2 tabletas bawat araw sa loob ng 3 hanggang 5 araw. Next, dapat yung gamot na yon ando dun sa barangay level or ando dun sa school. Kasi ang sa pananaw ko at yung nakita nga naming nangyari, nung natapos na yung baha at bagyo, magre-request pa. Pupunta ka pa dun sa city, sa regional office ng DOH, kukuha pa sa central office. By the time na dumating siya, wala na siyang bisang pamproteksyon. So dati-rate, piniproposition yan sa baba, sa barangay, and even the schools. Tapos, pasok yung gamot. Pasok yung gamot. So, I believe with this, hindi na to mauulit.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. May I call on Lines Capanti from GMA Online.
Good afternoon po. Sir, more on siguro kay Kong Zia, but others can also respond. Yung sa Marawi Compensation Law budget po, from 2 billion this year, 1 billion lang siya sa GAA, and 2 billion nasa unprogrammed, so unfunded pa so far. How do you intend to address this? Kasi in your previous press conference, you mentioned the board needs around 5 billion a year to sufficiently provide for the claims as provided by the law. Anong mangyayari, sir, since kulang?
Well, I wanted to have a bigger budget, no? But the bigger budget also goes down to the issue of utilization rate. Kasi pag every budget process, talagang tatanungin mo yung ahensya kung 100% ba na-utilize yung pondo so that you can also request for a more budget. Doon po sa mga sinasabi nating claimants, possible claimants, the Marawi Board, Compensation Board have already validated a sizable number of the claimants. They have submitted their claims and may process po ang ginagawa ng board so that they can identify the legitimate claimants. What is the problem now based on what the last oversight committee that we conducted with the Senate ay nagkakaroon ng problema doon sa valuation standard na nagamit. Some of the eligible beneficiaries of these compensation packages felt that may problema doon sa valuation mode kasi na-reduce yung possible na matatanggap nila. So nagkaroon sila ng problema dahil masyado nang mababa ang matatanggap nila. So gusto nating sana ipaabot at saka ipinaabot naman nila na this compensation law, it's not something that should deal with the fair market value alone. It is not an issue of willing buyer and willing seller. This is a social justice piece of legislation. So I think that angling was not really appreciated in a way that the government needs to pay the eligible beneficiaries. So doon po nagka-problema. Nag-usap po kami ni Secretary Amina. I think the issue is the utilization rate, the actual releasing of these funds. Because according to the reports that I've gathered, some of the families who may already submitted all the requirements, but after their vetting process and after they're able to finally receive the compensation package, backed out because of the lower rate that was made as a determining factor to receive a certain amount, no? Parang nalitan sila. So titingnan natin kung 5 billion man, kasi ang initial natin na request is mas malaki. Pero the question is, kung malaki yan pero hindi naman yan nagamit, 'di ba? Kung hindi naman nagamit, talagang sayang lang, no? Kasi that's the idea of ng DBM eh. So if we request for more, it should also reflect the utilization rate. So I'm looking at the utilization rate, medyo mababa according to DBM. That's why that's the first thing that they've considered. Medyo mababa yung utilization rate. So I think we need to focus more on the valuation mode. I think the agreement now that we had with the Senate counterpart, is to revisit the law and introduce an amendatory bill para may wider elbow room ang compensation board to determine which valuation mode do they use in order that they can also make faithfully faithfully anchor on the principle of social justice system, no? At hindi siya yung willing buyer and willing seller.
So sir, since yun nga, kung kailangan pa ng amended law, how do we proceed?
Well, we tackle the budget. Whatever is the compensation board has, they need to pay right away, no? Yung mga eligible claimants, no? Yung mga recipients, no, sinasabi who have already gone through the process of vetting process. Now the problem is yung utilization rate, because the information that I had, medyo mababa yung utilization rate nung actual payment and not the administrative cost. We're talking about the actual money for the actual payments, no, of compensation packages.
Okay, sir. So, given the recent problems on the ground, okay lang na 1 billion yung for the 2025 or
it's not
yung 2 billion sa unprogrammed baka pwedeng malagay sa unprogrammed?
It's not an issue of amount as of now. It's not really an issue of how much and how less is the amount. The question is how fast can we provide and how these recipients, no, are willing to receive the actual payment. That's the problem. Kasi nagkaroon po ng issue when it comes to the amount that they will receive. Kasi medyo na-reduce talaga siya, no? Kasi the standard that I think, the valuation standard that they use is, well, wala naman choice talaga ang Marawi Compensation Board because that is already in the law. Sabi nila yung fair market value and then yung valuation mode ang ginawa. So parang ang naging arrangement is willing buyer and willing seller. They will go to the area, go to their property and then determine kung how much is yung destroyed properties, etc. They will value and they will assess. So ang naging arrangements is parang willing buyer and willing seller. Hindi naman kami nagbebenta, 'di ba? Hindi naman kami nagbebenta, nasiraan kami. So kailangan maintindihan natin na yung compensation board is actually social healing. Yun ang sinasabi natin yung principle of social piece of justice, piece of legislation, which unfortunately because of the law na naka-indicate doon na inintroduce ng BICAM of the Senate, no, the House version when they had they passed the compensation law, wala po doon. But when it reaches the stage that the Senate introduced that provision in that law, doon nagkaroon ng stricter na mas stricter yung restrictive yung appreciation ng Marawi Compensation Board kung anong gagamitin nilang valuation mode. And unfortunately, what they have used is yung sinasabi nilang arrangement na willing buyer and willing seller, which actually reduce the amount of compensation that each of the family will receive. So doon nagka-problema, kaya mababa yung utilization nung pondo na yon. So it's not an issue sa ngayon, no? It's not an issue of whether malaki ba o maliit. The issue is maski malaki yan, pero yung compensation, yung utilization rate mababa. So when come budget season, mas pag mababa yung utilization rate mo, na the I think the policy really is kung mababa yung utilization rate mo, as they will maintain yung kung ano yung sinabi doon sa batas, but the sheer minimum na pondo for the compensation board is 1 billion. So hindi nila yung tataasan. But nag-usap na po kami ni Mayor Mahul Gandama regarding that, and we are in agreement that we need to revisit the compensation law and introduce an amendatory bill para po mas wider yung magiging elbow room ng compensation board para sa anong klaseng valuation mode ang gagamitin nila na naka-anchor doon sa social justice piece of legislation na parati po natin sinasabi. Yung attempt po natin na yung principle of social healing.
Thank you, sir.